Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the SAP Center in San Jose, California, and the show just ended. And before I get into the Dynamite review, I want to give my thoughts of WrestleDream on Saturday, which I thought WrestleDream was a decent show. There could have been matches that they could have left off of the card and saved them for, Dynamite or Rampage or Collision. But overall, decent show was, WrestleDream on Saturday. But gonna start with the other matches that were on the 0 hour, pre-show. We had 4 matches on the pre-show. So we have Bryan Cage versus Lance Jr. This was for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. And the match was okay, in my opinion. Bryan Cage ended up winning the match, so he is the new Ring of Honor World Television Champion. The match went 11 minutes. So, Bryan Cage, new Ring of Honor World Television Champion. Hopefully, they can book him well as the World Television Champion. But it's going to be on Ring of Honor. And then the second match on 0 hours, Anna Jay versus Harley Cameron. Awful match. Anna Jay won. So, Mike, who cares? And then we had the Acclaimed, Max Caster and Anthony Bowens versus the MXM Collection. This is Mansoor and Mason Madden. I mean, who cares about MXM Collection? I didn't even care for their gimmick when they were in WWE. It was awful gimmick, and they're still going with the gimmick here. It still is awful. And MXM Collection, Mansoor and Mason Madden, they were accompanied by Rico. Yeah, if you remember Rico from back in the day, he was in WWE. He accompanied Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo when they were Billy and Chuck, and they did that whole gay storyline, with Billy and Chuck, how they like each other, and Rico was managing them, and of course Rico is a former tag team champion with Rikishi. I mean, it was good seeing Rico again. It's been a long while since we've seen Rico. But I was like to myself, man, does Rico need the money? But, it's good to see him. And, of course, Billy Gunn got his revenge on Rico. So, it was long years that Billy Gunn, had to get his hands again on Rico. But overall, I thought the match was just meh, in my opinion. Of course, the Acclaimed were going to come out, win the match. And then we had the Conglomeration, and we had the Outrunners. They ended up defeating the Dark Order and the Premier Athletes. Yeah, Conglomeration, it was Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly. The Outrunners, Turbo Floyd, and Truth Magnum, which I want to see more of the Outrunners on TV. I think they are very fun, tag team. And, the crowd, is starting to really like them. I think they are highly entertaining. Of course, you had Rocky Romero there. The Dark Order, you had Alex Reynolds, John Silver. Premier Athletes are boring, because you got Arya Daivari and Tony Nese. You had Mark Sterling, Josh Woods, and Evil Uno. Yeah, if you said the Conglomeration won the match, ding, 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 you were right. Yeah, so this was all the matches that were on 0 hour, 4 matches. It felt like a hour long Rampage show. that's what it felt like. And then we get to the main card. The show opened with Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page. Very good match this was. It was good back and forth between Jay White and Page in there. Good to see Jay White back. And Jay White ended up picking up the win over Hangman Adam Page. Of course, Jay White needed this win. He just came back. No way that they were going to make Jay White lose the match, coming back. So it's good that Jay White ended up winning the match. And then we have Mariah May versus Will Nightingale. This was for the AEW Women's World Championship. Match was just meh, in my opinion. This match could have easily been on like a collision or a Rampage. This did not scream a pay-per-view worthy match. But Mariah May ended up winning. She retained the AEW Women's World Championship, which not surprised by. But good. Mariah May retains, and I think she is doing good in her reign as the Women's World Champion. Although it was fucking sad during the post-media scrum where nobody in the crowd wanted to ask a question for Mariah May, because Mariah May was like, "Oh, do you all love women's wrestling?" And they were just silent. They had no other question for Mariah May. That's sad there. And then we had Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata for the TNT Championship. And this was a okay match here. But do we really think that Shibata was going to beat Jack Perry here? Of course, Jack Perry ended up winning. He retained the TNT Championship, which also not surprised by. So Jack Perry still continuing his reign as the TNT Champion. And I think he's having a, pretty decent reign with the title. And then we had the three-way match for the International Championship. Konosuke Takeshita versus Will Ospreay and Ricochet. Of course, Will Ospreay, International Champion. And in my opinion, this was the best match of the night. In my opinion. This was highly entertaining. And all three of these guys, did a good job. We had Don Callis on commentary here. But in the end, we had Konosuke Takeshita end up winning the International Championship, and he is your new champion. You had Kyle Fletcher come out there, and he ended up turning on Ospreay. He ended up hitting Ospreay with the screwdriver. So Fletcher is now aligned with the Don Callis family. So, but overall, very good match it was. Highly entertaining, and it was the best match of the night. And the match went 20 minutes. And then we had the 2 out of 3 falls match, Hologram versus the Beast Mortos, with Hologram picking up the win. Hologram has been, very entertaining since he debuted on Collision, and he has had very good entertaining matches on Collision. And we need to see more Hologram on Dynamite. But Hologram came out with the victory. Then we had Darby Allin versus Brody King. And this was a okay match here. You had Darby Allin doing that coffin drop off the top onto Brody King when Brody King was on his back on the steel steps. But Darby Allin picked up the victory over Brody King in a okay matchup it was. Next we had the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. They ended up taking on Private Party. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, and didn't even care for this match. I thought this was the weakest match on the card here, because in the end, that the Young Bucks were going to retain the titles. I mean, who is going to, beat the Young Bucks and take the World Tag Team Championships from them? It's like there's no other tag teams that could beat the Bucks. So the Young Bucks came out with the victory. They are still the World Tag Team Champions. So I wasn't surprised there. Then we went to Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. This is for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Why this need to be on the card? This could have been on a Rampage or a Collision. This match did not scream a match that would be fit for pay-per-view. But Mark Briscoe ended up getting the win. He ended up retaining the Ring of Honor World Championship. And, that was that. Overall, this match should not have been on the card. And the main event, you had the AEW World Championship on the line with Bryan Danielson defend the title against Jon Moxley. And this was a very good match. This was a good main event here. And you had, Marina Shafir end up interfering in points of the match. You had, of course, the Blackpool Combat Club out there. And Wheeler Yuta, in the end, ended up turning on Bryan Danielson because he ended up putting the plastic bag over Bryan. And Moxley ended up getting the win. So he is your new AEW World Champion, and he retires Bryan Danielson. And that was the right thing to do. Have Bryan, retire in his home state of Washington. That was the only way that they were going to do it. And we all called it. We all said that probably at WrestleDream, when Bryan ends up facing Moxley, that's going to be his retirement match. And, that's what happened. So Moxley ended up winning. In the end, you had, the Blackpool Combat Club end up being down on Bryan. But overall, WrestleDream, it was a decent show. Like I said, some matches did not need to be on the card. And the show started at 8 and it ended after midnight here on the East Coast. And Tony Khan needs to just trim down these pay-per-view shows because they are so long. And some of the matches that they book on the pay-per-view should not even be on the card. They should just save them for a Dynamite or a Rampage or a Collision. They need to have the matches that stick out the most and put them on the pay-per-view. Everything else, that they fit on the pay-per-view where, there's no story to it, leave it on Dynamite or Rampage or Collision. So just put the matches that have the build, that have the story on pay-per-view. So that's what they need to do. These pay-per-views, like I said, they need to trim down on the length of them. Because we all complained about this when WWE used to do it, where their pay-per-views would go over 11 o'clock. It would end at 12. So Tony Khan and creative need to fix this and need to do something about it. But like I said, WrestleDream was a decent show on Saturday. And going into Dynamite tonight, did they follow up with a good show for Dynamite tonight? Absolutely no. This show was absolutely boring tonight, in my opinion. What do we get on Dynamite tonight? We had FTR. We had Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler. They ended up taking on Big Bill and Bryan Keith of the Learning Tree. Oh joy. Oh joy. Then we had the TBS Championship on the line. Mercedes Moné defended the title against Queen Aminata. What did Queen Aminata do to earn an opportunity at the TBS Championship? Absolutely nothing. Then we had the Conglomeration. Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Rocky Romero. They ended up taking on the Elite, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, and Kazuchika Okada. Now we had Shelton Benjamin versus Lio Rush. This was Shelton Benjamin's in-ring debut on Dynamite. And the main event, we had Jay White versus Christian Cage. So overall, Dynamite tonight was just a boring show, in my opinion. The creative in AEW, they are just creatively bankrupt, in my opinion. I'm like I said, what did Queen Aminata do to earn a shot at the TBS Championship? Where's the story with that? There's no story. This all came about what we saw Saturday at WrestleDream, where Mercedes Moné was backstage. Queen Aminata ended up saying, "Oh, what are you doing around here, bossing people around?" And Mercedes goes, "Excuse me." That's all how this match came about tonight. Shelton Benjamin versus Lio Rush, was a good match. FTR, Big Bill, and Bryan Keith, no story. This was just booked on the fly. This company is just creatively bankrupt, in my opinion. But before I get into the review, the next videos that you would see after my Dynamite review will be my vlogs for New York Comic Con. So expect vlogs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So those will be coming up. Really, I'm excited to go to Comic Con tomorrow. This is going to be my fourth New York Comic Con that I'm attending. So going to make it a every year tradition for me to go every year. So those will be the next videos that you guys would see. But anyway, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with Jon Moxley. So we saw footage of what happened at WrestleDream in the show's closing moments and the aftermath that went down with the Blackpool Combat Club and, Wheeler Yuta turning on Bryan, putting that plastic bag over Bryan's head. So we had Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir. They were in the back of a pickup truck. Moxley talked about his vision for AEW. He kept saying that he is tired of the egos in the company, and he is ready to burn down the forest to start anew. He kept saying that his group can see a better future, and they will see it happen. Moxley kept saying that if you don't like what they have in mind, you'd better run while you still can. He kept saying, what is the need to know in AEW? What is the new paradigm? He kept saying that it's simple. You work for him now. So pretty much that was basically what Moxley had to say. And Tony Schiavone on commentary, at the night, said, "Oh, this is a new era of AEW with Moxley as the world champion." And I'm like, this is a new era. Yeah, a new era with, stories that at points are not going anywhere. And then we had Adam Cole, baby! He ended up coming out. Adam Cole returned at WrestleDream on Sunday. And it looks like we're going back to the feud between Adam Cole and MJF, with Adam Cole being a babyface and MJF as a heel, because MJF also returned at WrestleDream. And I'm like, this does not make any sense whatsoever. I mean, last we saw Adam Cole, he was a heel, and MJF was a babyface. Now that the tables have turned, what we're going to get? We're going to get a babyface Adam Cole versus a heel MJF? I'm like, this does not make any sense. They would have to reverse them and have Adam Cole go back to being a heel and MJF go back to being a babyface. How are they going to do this? So Adam Cole, he came out, and the crowd there in San Jose gave him a big pop. It was good to see Adam Cole return at WrestleDream on Saturday. So the crowd was chanting Cole's name. Cole got on the mic. He ended up asking, "Who's ready for story time with Adam Cole?" Cole ended up thanking the Undisputed Kingdom for their offer. He ended up saying that he needs to handle this on his own. He ended up saying, addressing briefly the year-long road to recovery. And he ended up wanting to talk about the worst person in the world. So he ended up talking about that person, MJF. So Adam Cole ended up talking about the lack of trust from a man that was meant to be his friend, because he is a lot of things. Adam Cole said that that himself is a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them. He ended up saying anyone who truly trusts MJF is stupid. He then ended up going on to talk about the real MJF, the man who pretends to care about anyone but himself. Adam Cole ended up saying that, according to him, MJF is fake from head to toe, and a scared, insecure little boy, and a phony. He ended up saying that MJF can't be trusted, and everyone in the locker room is nodding and smiling in agreement. Cole ended up saying that we have the best professional wrestlers in the world, as well as a young group of guys that will carry this company forward. Cole ended up saying that it makes him sick to imagine these guys looking at MJF as a path of success to follow, when it's just a path to loneliness. He ended up saying that MJF thinks he's special, and that he thinks he's the best there's ever been. But with every fiber of being, himself, Adam Cole, Cole ended up saying that he hates MJF, and that he hates having to share the same space with him. He ended up saying that we don't need to wait any longer. Adam Cole ended up saying, let's fight here in San Jose. So he's basically calling out MJF. So MJF's music ended up hitting. Adam Cole was ready himself to take a fight with MJF. But MJF was nowhere to be seen. So MJF was shown on the screen. He was having a little wine. And MJF is talking about what he has gained and lost in this business. He ended up saying that the biggest loss has been trust, realizing just how many snakes are in the grass, until Adam Cole came around. MJF ended up saying that he came to trust Adam Cole, and the betrayal that followed made him what he is today. MJF then went on to address how he will retaliate to Adam Cole. And when he does, Cole can thank him later. Adam Cole then responded to MJF by saying that he knows him better than anyone, so he should know that he can run, but he can't hide. Adam Cole ended up saying that with every fiber of his being, he will get back at MJF. Adam Cole then dropped the mic, and he made his way up the ramp, and pretty much that was basically that. But overall, I thought it was a good promo from Adam Cole here. MJF, of course, we all know how he cuts a good promo every time he's on the mic. But like I said, I just don't see how they're going to handle this with Adam Cole now being a babyface and MJF, as a heel. So, but we'll see what happens. And then we had Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette ended up interviewing Jericho. Jericho ended up addressing the success of Terrifier 3 because he is in that film. I've never seen any of the Terrifier films and probably won't because they probably won't be my cup of tea. So he ended up addressing the controversy behind Mark Briscoe's win at WrestleDream this past Saturday. Jericho ended up saying that he awaits Briscoe's response to a rematch. He ended up saying that he promises to be as great a Ring of Honor World Champion as Jay Briscoe was. So then it cut to Renee getting a response from Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe ended up saying to Renee that he can let most of what Jericho has said in one ear and out the other. He ended up saying that Jericho has once again let his brother's name out his mouth. So Briscoe was like, oh, it's on. He ended up saying in the meantime, he's showing support for his boys, FTR, for their tag team match next. So it looks like we're getting the rematch between Jericho and Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Oh, joy. And then we had the first match of the night. FTR, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler versus Big Bill and Bryan Keith. And this match was, decent in my opinion, but I'm like, where's the story for this? But I know it's a support in hurricane relief efforts. Dax Harwood is, helping out, people that were affected in Hurricane Helene. So that's nice of Dax to, do that and help out people that were affected and get, some of those people, back up on their feet. But the match started off with Cash Wheeler and Big Bill. We had Big Bill end up wearing Cash Wheeler down. Big Bill ended up taking in Bryan Keith. Bryan Keith ended up taking it to Cash Wheeler. So Dax Harwood ended up making the tag. Dax ended up going at it to Big Bill. Dax ended up keeping Cash isolated. And Dax ended up delivering a twist and side slam to Big Bill. So then Dynamite went to commercial. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Cash Wheeler was in control of the match. He ended up taking down Bryan Keith. He ended up heading to the corner. And Big Bill ended up tagging in. We had Big Bill end up delivering a big boot to Cash Wheeler. And we had Dax end up getting the tag in. Dax ended up going after Bryan Keith, who was still in the ring at this point. And Dax Harwood ended up taking on Big Bill. And we had Big Bill end up dropping Dax down to the canvas. Dax fought out of a piledriver attempt, which allowed Cash Wheeler to hit a crossbody, and he knocked Bryan Keith off the apron. FTR was looking to go for the Shatter Machine on Big Bill, but we had Big Bill end up fending off Cash Wheeler, and he ended up hitting a powerbomb to Harwood. Bryan Keith ended up getting the tag. He ended up taking Dax Harwood down for a near fall, to which Cash ended up breaking up the pin. So in the end, FTR ended up getting the win, and we had FTR end up delivering the Shatter Machine to Bryan Keith. And there you go. FTR ended up winning the match. Post-match, FTR ended up celebrating, and the Outriders ended up making their way out to the ring, and they ended up getting a big pop there in San Jose. Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum came in there, and they were just giving handshake to FTR. So pretty much that was that. So good to see that the Outrunners got a big pop there in San Jose. So we want to see the Outrunners on Dynamite, in a match. And then we saw Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn was backstage with Renee Paquette. So Billy Gunn ended up talking about him and the Acclaim heading to the gym. He ended up allowing the Acclaim to speak. Bowens and Caster ended up talking about their future plans now that they've picked up a win against the MXM collection. So the Acclaimed were interrupted by MVP and Shelton Benjamin. MVP ended up offering the Acclaimed his business card, to which Bowens ended up saying that they don't need anything from him. But MVP just laughed, and then him and Shelton Benjamin end up walking away. And that was basically that. Then we had the TBS Championship on the line. Mercedes Mone defend the title against Queen Aminata. And this was just very meh, in my opinion. I'm like, where's the story to this? This all came about because Queen Aminata on WrestleDream on Saturday said to Mercedes, "Oh, who do you think you are?" So that's how this match came to be. And what did Queen Aminata do to earn an opportunity at the TBS Championship? Absolutely nothing. And why was this a TBS Championship match? This should have been a non-title match. So the match got underway. Mercedes and Aminata end up going at it. Aminata ended up getting the upper hand. She ended up going for the cover on Mercedes, to which Mercedes ended up kicking out. Mercedes then ended up catching Aminata with a cover, and Aminata ended up kicking out. Of course, you had Camille out there. Camille accompanied Mercedes. So Aminata ended up delivering a fallaway slam, which sent Mercedes toward the ropes. So Aminata was going to follow up, but Camille pulled Mercedes out of harm's way. Aminata ended up slapping Camille, and that led to Mercedes ended up sending Aminata into the ring steps. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Aminata was going for a double leg to Mercedes, but she ended up getting caught by Mercedes. So we had Mercedes end up going for the cover on Aminata, to which Aminata kicked out. Aminata ended up hitting a modified sunset flip to Mercedes, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Mercedes ended up kicking out. But Mercedes ended up responding with a near fall of her own on Aminata. Aminata ended up dropping Mercedes down to the canvas for the cover, and Mercedes ended up kicking out. So in the end, we had Mercedes end up evading Aminata. She ended up driving her knees into the back of Queen Aminata, and she locked in the statement maker on Aminata, which forced Aminata to tap out. And so there you go. Mercedes ended up winning the match, retaining the TBS Championship. No surprise. No surprise there. Overall, very meh match it was. And then we saw Private Party and the Young Bucks backstage. Private Party ended up asking the Bucks to be here to address a rematch for the World Tag Team Championship. So the Bucks end up telling Private Party, "Oh, well, that doesn't work." They end up telling Private Party that was their last shot at the titles at WrestleDream. So we had the Bucks end up walking off. Stokely Hathaway end up scoffing at Private Party because Private Party end up rejecting Stokely's offer before WrestleDream. And Stokely ended up knowing that Isaiah Cassidy is a single star. And Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn end up looking at each other, and pretty much that was basically that. So Stokely Hathaway, wants to help Private Party. But Private Party, doesn't want, Stokely's help. And then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw the Elite. We saw the Bucks, Jack Perry, and Kazuchika Okada. The Elite ended up wishing their old friend, Kenny Omega, a happy birthday. And there was a cake, on the table that said happy birthday, Kenny. And they ended up mocking Omega's health scare. And they ended up dumping like this, I don't know what the hell it was. It was like this, it looked like, raw meat on the cake. And, you had Jack Perry end up saying, "Oh, hope you get well, Kenny, or die." And he doesn't care. So very rough segment it was here with them. And then we had the Elite, Kazuchika Okada, and the Young Bucks. They have taken on the Conglomeration, Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Rocky Romero. Didn't even care for this match. Match was boring, in my opinion. So we had the match end up getting away with Orange Cassidy and Matthew Jackson going at it. Kyle O'Reilly ended up making the tag in, and this led to Orange Cassidy and O'Reilly ended up double teaming up on Matthew Jackson. Okada ended up tagging in. Rocky Romero ended up getting the tag, and it's led to the Conglomeration ended up getting the upper hand on the outside. And that's when Dynamite went to commercial. And during the picture-in-picture, the Elite ended up regaining control of the match. They ended up dropping Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy, and Rocky Romero down to the canvas. So then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Orange Cassidy end up getting a tag to Kyle O'Reilly, but the Bucks end up rushing in to keep Orange Cassidy, at bay. So Kyle O'Reilly ended up countering out of a Rainmaker Lariat. Matthew Jackson ended up breaking that up. And Okada ended up getting a near fall. Rocky Romero ended up getting the tag. He ended up going off on both of the Bucks in the corner. And he fended off Okada for a DDT off the corner. And Okada came back and he ended up dropping Rocky Romero with the Tombstone Pile Driver. So Orange Cassidy ended up getting the tag. The Bucks ended up getting involved. Cassidy and O'Reilly ended up doing a Stun Dog Millionaire to the Bucks. So the end of the match ended in a no contest because Wheeler Yuta ended up coming rushing in with a running knee to Orange Cassidy, and the ref called for the bell. So because of this, the Elite wanted nothing to do with all this. So the Bucks and also Kazuchika Okada end up getting out of the ring. Moxley and his crew end up coming into the ring, and they went after the Conglomeration. Top Flight ended up rushing down to the ring to help out, but they were fought off while the Elite continued to look on from the ramp. So the Dark Order were out there. They were being down by Moxley and, of course, his crew. And it set up for Alex Reynolds to be choked out against the ring post with a belt by Marina Shafir. So Moxley ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying anyone who is involved with AEW is under attack. He ended up saying the cost of doing business. He was calling all this out. So pretty much that was basically that. And we saw Wheeler Yuta and Claudio end up grabbing a set of steps, and they rammed it into Alex Reynolds while he was held up against the ring post. So that was basically that. And then we cut backstage, and we saw, the Elite trying to get a word. And they insisted that they have nothing to do with all that happened out there. So Daniel Garcia and Private Party end up confronting the Elite. We got a brief situation between Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia where Jack Perry ended up trying to get face-to-face with Daniel Garcia, and he was pushing away at Daniel Garcia's head. Daniel Garcia ended up, pushing his head back at Jack Perry. And so the Elite end up walking off. So it led to Private Party end up agreeing to have each other's backs. And Danny Garcia ended up saying that he has Private Party's back as well. So, these guys were agreeing to have each other's backs. So that was basically that. But it looks like we're going to get, Danny Garcia versus Jack Perry. So who knows if it's going to be for the TNT Championship. But we all know that's going to happen. But overall, boring match between the Elite and the Conglomeration. Did not even care for it. And then we got Shelton Benjamin making his AEW in-ring debut. And he had taken on Lio Rush. And I thought this was a good match here. Thought both of these guys, gave it all they got. Shelton Benjamin, he still got it in the ring. So the match started off with both Shelton Benjamin and Lio Rush end up circling the ring. And they end up going at it. Lio Rush ended up getting an early advantage on Shelton Benjamin, but Shelton Benjamin took control of the match. Shelton Benjamin left the ring as Lio Rush got back to his feet. Shelton Benjamin started fighting back at Lio Rush. He ended up bringing Lio Rush out of the ring for a belly-to-belly suplex that sent Lio Rush flying. And I really like how Lio Rush was selling these suplexes, how he was selling them. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Lio Rush was starting to fight back against Shelton Benjamin. He ended up sending Shelton Benjamin to the outside for a big dive against the barricade. He then brought Shelton Benjamin back into the ring. Lio Rush ended up going up to the top. He was sent up for a frog splash. But Shelton Benjamin ended up rolling out of the way, which forced Lio Rush, to hit the canvas hard. Lio Rush ended up delivering a massive tornado DDT on Shelton Benjamin, which was good. So Lio Rush ended up going for the cover, and Shelton Benjamin ended up kicking out. Lio Rush headed to the top turnbuckle, but he was intercepted by Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin ended up sending Lio Rush down hard off the top, which was crazy. So Shelton Benjamin then ended up sending Lio Rush flying with a release German suplex. And like I said, Lio Rush selling the hell out of those suplexes. Shelton Benjamin then ended up delivering a second German suplex to Lio Rush. Shelton Benjamin then ended up hitting a thrust kick that ended up folding Lio Rush up onto the canvas. He ended up sending Lio Rush into the ropes for another slam. And then he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Shelton Benjamin ended up winning the match. Post-match, MVP got into the ring. He got on the mic and he started running down on Lio Rush. And then he complimented Lio Rush on trying against Shelton Benjamin. So then MVP turned his attention to Swerve Strickland. He ended up telling Swerve to reconsider because MVP ended up giving Swerve his card, but Swerve ended up turning MVP down. So MVP was then interrupted by a Swerve's House chant. And MVP ended up reminding them that Swerve's house was burned down. He ended up saying that Swerve needs to have another conversation with himself and the standard of excellence, Shelton Benjamin. So that was basically that. But overall, good match from Shelton Benjamin in his in-ring debut for AEW, taking on Lio Rush. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we heard from Swerve Strickland. Swerve ended up responding to MVP's offer by saying anytime, anywhere. So he was with, of course, Prince Nana. Swerve ended up asking the San Jose crowd, whose house? And they responded by Swerve's house. And then that was basically that. But I am getting a photo op with Swerve Strickland tomorrow at New York Comic Con. It's going to be great to meet him, get a photo with him. So really am looking forward to it. And then we got Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring. He ended up saying that a press conference had been called on by Don Callis. So Don Callis ended up coming out alongside Lance Archer and the newest member of the Don Callis family, Brian Cage. So the Ring of Honor World Television Champion is now a part of the Don Callis family. So Don Callis ended up talking about all the news surrounding the family. He ended up saying that there are no real journalists in pro wrestling. He then turned his attention to his recent acquisitions. He ended up knowing that Lance Archer and Brian Cage are his new choices to enter the tag team division. He then ended up welcoming Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, the new AEW International Champion, to the ring. So Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher came to the ring. Don Callis ended up addressing Takeshita. And he ended up saying that Takeshita is willing to defend the International Championship across all corners of the globe. So Callis ended up allowing Takeshita to speak. So Takeshita ended up telling anyone who wants the International Championship to come and get it. He was speaking in, his language at first, and then that's what he said, for anyone to come and get his International Championship. So then Don Callis ended up giving the mic to Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher ended up saying that he's been hearing all week, why, Kyle, why? He then refused to give a response. So Don Callis ended things by saying that the Don Callis family has never been stronger. So that was that. But overall, it was a okay, segment here with the Don Callis family. We got, Brian Cage as the newest member of the Don Callis family, Lance Archer, another one that's part of the Don Callis family that, that Jake Roberts ended up giving Lance Archer's contract to Don Callis. But hopefully we do get an explanation as to why Fletcher ended up betraying Ospreay at WrestleDream. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage with Mariah May. Mariah May ended up addressing the lack of competition as her former opponents are off doing, their things. Mariah May ended up saying that AEW is where the best are afraid of the glamour. And then Anna Jay ended up coming over to Mariah May to try and prove to Mariah May. So Anna Jay ended up getting into it with Mariah May. Christopher Daniels ended up coming over there to separate the both of them. And Anna Jay ended up slapping Christopher Daniels accidentally as Mariah May ended up sneaking away. And Anna Jay was like, oh, I'm sorry, to Christopher Daniels. To which Christopher Daniels ended up forgiving Anna Jay. It was like, it's all right. So it looks like, again, Anna Jay versus Mariah May. Anna Jay is Mariah May's next opponent. And then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we saw Ricochet. Ricochet ended up saying that he has some unfinished business with Takeshita after what went down at WrestleDream. So Ricochet ended up offering an open challenge to anyone willing to face him on Collision this Saturday, promising to remind everyone why he is out of this world. So that was what we heard from Ricochet. And then we went to the parking lot, and the Blackpool Combat Club were going at it with Top Flight and the Dark Order. So they were brawling in the parking lot. Moxley and his crew end up escaping in the truck. Evil Uno and Top Flight cut a promo on Moxley. And this was just setting up matches for Collision this Saturday. So that was that. Main event: Jay White versus Christian Cage. This was a okay match here. So we had Jay White end up coming out first, and then Christian Cage ended up making his way out. He was accompanied by, of course, Nick Wayne and Mama Wayne, Shayna Wayne. Of course, thoughts and prayers go out to Kill Switch. You know, he came down with pneumonia, so he's been out, you know, because of that. So, you know, prayers to Kill Switch. So the match started off with Christian Cage and evading locking up with Jay White. Christian Cage then left the ring. He came back in, and both guys ended up locking up. Jay White ended up sending Christian Cage into the corner for a stomp. So Jay White then mocked the patriarchy. And then he continued his attack on Christian Cage. We had Jay White end up sending Christian Cage into the corner, and he followed up with an Indian Deathlock on Christian Cage. Christian Cage then managed to get to the bottom rope to break up the Indian Deathlock locked in on Jay White. So Jay White was then arguing with the ref. Nick Wayne brought in a steel chair toward the ring. And then he was fended off by, you know, by the Bang Bang Gang, because they were out there. So we had the Bang Bang Gang. They got caught with the chair and they were ejected from ringside. Nick Wayne then mocked the Bang Bang Gang about that, and he turned his attention to Jay White in the ring. So we had the Bang Bang Gang end up dragging Nick Wayne away, and Shayna Wayne was chasing after them, and then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Christian Cage end up dropping Jay White down to the mat. Christian Cage ended up driving his boot into the back of Jay White's neck. He ended up twisting Jay White's head, and Christian ended up sending Jay White to the outside. Christian ended up following Jay White to the outside. Jay White ended up managing to fight back against Christian Cage, and then both guys ended up back in the ring. So both guys were trading strikes at each other. Jay White ended up catching Christian Cage with a back body drop. So Christian Cage was in the corner as Jay White ended up going after him for some punches. Christian Cage started to fight back, but he was caught with a DDT by Jay White, and Jay White ended up going for the cover. Christian Cage ended up kicking out. You had, later on in the match, Kip Sabian got involved because we had Jay White was going for a spear, but Kip Sabian ended up appearing to intervene. And we had Hangman Page also out there. Christian Cage ended up catching Jay White on the top rope. Christian Cage ended up sliding back to the ring for a spear, but he ended up getting caught with a Uranagi by Jay White. So Jay White ended up going for the cover, and Christian Cage ended up kicking out. So Christian Cage ended up countering out of a Blade Runner by Jay White, and then he pinned the kill switch. Christian Cage ended up going for the cover, and Jay White ended up kicking out. So once again, Kip Sabian hopped on the apron to distract the ref. Jay White ended up countering the kill switch into a Blade Runner attempt on Christian Cage, which that allowed for Page to catch Jay White with the buckshot lariat. Christian Cage then delivered the kill switch, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Christian Cage ended up winning the match. And of course, Christian Cage still has a guaranteed shot at the World Championship. So pretty much that was basically how Dynamite went off the air. Overall, okay match between Christian Cage and Jay White here, but overall Dynamite as a whole tonight, it was just a very boring show in my opinion. But anyway, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for my New York Comic Con vlogs. So stay tuned for all those and, have a good time, watching them. So see you guys with the New York Comic Con vlog for tomorrow.